Have you ever followed your GPS down a strange road, ignoring your own intuition, only to end up at a dead end? You have a feeling it was wrong, but hey, the machine knows best, right? That little moment of doubt, followed by blind faith, is a tiny window into one of the biggest challenges we face in the age of AI, overtrust. I am Narotam, and together with Dr. Amita Kapoor, we are exploring the trust paradox.
Hello, and welcome to Retured. I'm Dr. Amita Kapoor, and at Retured, we uncover how artificial intelligence shapes our thoughts, choices, and the world around us. Today, we are diving deep into the trust paradox. We are going to explore why our brains are so quick to put too much faith in AI, how the latest large language models are making this problem worse, the serious consequences this can have, and most importantly, what we can do about it. To understand overtrust, we first need to understand the spectrum of trust itself. Imagine a line. On one end, we have undertrust. This is when you refuse to use a perfectly good tool like a spell checker because you simply don't believe it works. This leads to disuse. On the far end, we have overtrust. This is where your confidence in the AI is much higher than its actual abilities. This leads to misuse, using the tool for things it was never designed to do, or accepting its mistakes without question. The sweet spot right in the middle is what we are aiming for: calibrated trust. This is the goal of human AI collaboration. It is when your level of trust perfectly matches the AI's capabilities. You accept its correct outputs, but you're also able to spot and reject its mistakes. It is about appropriate reliance. But achieving this balance is tricky because our trust is fragile. Research shows that our trust in AI shatters quickly after just one mistake, but it rebuilds very, very slowly. This means a single high profile AI failure could have a huge negative impact on public trust that millions of successes can't easily fix. So, why do we lean towards overtrust? Is it just that the technology is so good? Well, that is part of it. But the bigger story is about us. It is about the cognitive shortcuts our brains have developed over millennia, which new AI systems are exceptionally good at exploiting. First up is the automation bias. This is our tendency to rely on automated system as a shortcut, replacing our own careful thinking. Why solve a math problem in your head when a calculator is right there? Our brains love the principle of least cognitive effort. This bias leads to two kinds of errors: errors of commission, where you blindly follow incorrect AI advice, ignoring other information, and errors of omission, where you fail to act because AI didn't tell you to, essentially giving up your responsibility to monitor the situation. Next, there is confirmation bias, which we all have. We love information that confirms what we already believe. Large language models are masters at amplifying this. They are often trained to be agreeable and helpful, so they tend to mirror your language, your tone, and your hidden assumptions. This creates a dangerous feedback loop, a digital echo chamber. You ask a question with a slight bias, the LLM gives you a biased answer that reinforces your belief. So your next question is even more biased, and on it goes, slowly distorting your perception of reality. And finally, we have cognitive offloading. We use tools to reduce our mental workload, like storing phone numbers in our contacts instead of memorizing them. This is useful, but when we constantly offload core skills like reasoning and problem solving to AI, those skills can start to fade. It is the mental equivalent of use it or lose it. Now, these biases have existed for a long time. So, what has changed? Why is overtrust a much bigger conversation today? The answer lies in the unique nature of modern generative AI. First, large language models create a powerful illusion of competence. Their main goal is to generate fluent, coherent, human-like language. They are masters of grammar and style. Because their output sounds so intelligent and confident, we automatically assume the information is intelligent and correct. This leads to their most famous and dangerous flaw, hallucination. This is when an LLM generates plausible sounding but completely incorrect or fabricated information. And it presents this falsehood with the same confident tone it uses for facts, making them incredibly hard to spot. So, why do they do this? A great analogy is to think of an LLM as a student taking an exam where there is no penalty for guessing. To get the best score, the optimal strategy is to answer every single question, even if you have to make something up. The entire industry has been in a race to top leaderboards that reward accuracy, which incentivizes developers to train models that guess rather than admit uncertainty. And then there is what we may call anthropomorphic seduction. We are wired to attribute human like qualities to things. Designers know this. So they give AIs personalities, empathetic language, and friendly avatars. While this makes them easier to use, it is a double edged sword. It camouflages their limitations and makes us more likely to trust them, even forming emotional connections with a system that has no real understanding or consciousness. Okay, so we have our own biases and incredibly persuasive new technology. This isn't a theoretical problem. The consequences of overtrust are very real and they're already happening in high stake environments. Let us look at the legal world. In a now famous case, a lawyer for Air Canada argued in court that the company's own chatbot was a separate legal entity, responsible for the bad information it gave a customer. The court didn't buy it, of course, and found Air Canada liable for negligent misrepresentation. The precedent is clear. Companies are responsible for what their AIs say. In another case, a New York attorney used ChatGPT for legal research. It completely fabricated several court cases, which the lawyer then submitted in a federal filing without checking. He was sanctioned by the court. He put his trust in the machine and it cost his reputation. The stakes get even higher in medicine. The National Eating Disorder Association had to shut down their Tessa chatbot after it started giving harmful advice like recommending calorie counting to people with eating disorders. And a recent study found that both doctors and patients could not reliably tell the difference between human and AI medical advice, and often rated harmful, low accuracy AI responses as being just as trustworthy as a human doctor's. But perhaps the most chilling evidence comes from a life or death decision making experiment. Participants were put in a simulated drone warfare mission. They had to decide whether a target was an enemy or an ally, and whether to fire a missile. They were assisted by an AI that they were told was fallible. In reality, its advice was completely random. The result? When the completely random AI disagreed with their initial choice, participants changed their life or death decision about 2/3 of the time. Their accuracy plummeted from 70% down to 50%, the same as flipping a coin. They unthinkingly deferred to a machine they knew was unreliable. Okay, this all sounds pretty bleak, but the goal here is not to scare you away from AI. It is to equip you with the understanding to use it safely and effectively. So, how do we fix this? The solution requires a multi-pronged approach, tackling the technology, the design, and our own education. First, on the technical side, we need to engineer for humility. One field working on this is Explainable AI or XAI. The goal is to open the black box so users can see why an AI made a certain recommendation, giving them tools to judge its validity for themselves. Even more directly, we need uncertainty quantification. This is about teaching an AI to express doubt, to know what it does not know. Imagine if instead of hallucinating, an LLM could say, I'm only 40% confident in this answer, or could automatically highlight statements it is unsure about. This simple act of expressing uncertainty can dramatically improve our abilities to spot errors. Second, we need human-centered design. This means designing user interfaces that don't just maximize engagement, but actively encourage critical thinking. We can do this by introducing meaningful friction, small bumps in the road that force us to slow down and think. This could also mean changing how AI assistance is offered. Research shows over-reliance is highest when AI advice is pushed to us automatically. But if you have to explicitly ask for the AI's help, it preserves your sense of agency and leads to better decision making. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, is the societal pillar, education. Widespread AI literacy is our ultimate line of defense. We need to teach everyone, from K-12 students to professionals, the fundamental concepts of how AI works and what its limitations are and the ethical implications. The goal is not just to teach people how to use AI, but to create a generation of critical and responsible users. So, where does that leave us? Overtrust in AI is not a simple technical bug to be patched. It is an emergent property of the collision between our ancient psychology and our futuristic technology. As AI becomes more capable, the temptation to blindly delegate our thinking will only grow stronger. The solution is not to abandon these powerful tools, it is to cultivate a habit of healthy skepticism, to treat AI outputs not as a definitive answers, but as a starting point for our own inquiry. The goal is not to destroy trust, but to calibrate it. In the age of AI, the most important skill is knowing when not to listen. Remember, verify, then trust. Thanks for joining me today at Retured. If you found this explanation helpful, please like and subscribe for more deep dives into the technology that is shaping our world. Until next time, stay curious.